Are you gonna try that? He's gonna try that.
Here's the story. I'm out the other day, right? And I'm out at the bar and have students pool. You know, and I'm with some friends, and they introduce me to some people, some new people, and I start talking to somebody and kind of hit it off. It's always one of the first questions I get. Like anytime I meet anybody new, it doesn't matter who they are. You know, one of the first questions to getting to know me is, tell me about your family, you know. Well, there's Uncle Ronnie, Aunt Jenny, and Sue. Aunt Sue was also Cousin Beth's cousin on her dad's mom's side, twice removed, which kind of makes her my cousin and my aunt. Tell me about your family, you know, your mom or dad, do you have a good relationship with them? Are they together? Are they not together? And, you know, I get really tired of telling this story over and over again because it's not a very pleasant one to tell, so I'm just going to put it right out there. And that way the next time somebody asks me, you know, hey, tell me about your family, I'm going to give them the YouTube URL and say, enough said. So, there it goes. As far as with my mom, you know, we've had our ups and downs, but our relationship right now at this point is pretty good, so we're going to skip right past that. We're going to talk about my dad. Okay, so before I was born, this is the story as it's told to me, okay? My dad was a musician, right? Pretty good, too. He plays the guitar, he sang. I mean, I've heard him sing, I've heard him play. He's actually pretty good. So, you know, my mom is helping him book clubs and things and helping him get jobs, and everything's going pretty good. Well, he gets kind of heavy into partying, you know. Got a little bit of drink, a little bit of drugs, and then it turns into a lot of drink and a lot of drugs. So one day my mom comes home from her job and she's pregnant with me, and she finds him with a bunch of his buddies in his band in the living room with, you know, pipes and everything all over the place, and it's not a fun scene. So she gets upset, of course. He disappears, doesn't show up again until my mom is in the delivery room with me, having me. He doesn't even come into the room. He pokes his head into the door and says to her, and I quote, "If you don't give that kid my name, I don't want anything to do with him." And then he walks out. He leaves. In case you were wondering, I don't have his name. The years pass. Every now and then I hear something about my dad, a little bit here, a little bit there. I'm 13, 14 years old. My mom and my dad start talking or whatever they did. And we ended up moving in with him in a town called Cumbie for about 2 weeks. We were there for about 2 weeks. And the first few days of that were incredible. It was awesome. I mean, we had, you know, he spent a lot of time with me. We watched TV together. He took me to watch him play with his band, which he was still in a band at this point. And he watched me go play. And at the time, I was a kid, and he was my dad. And I thought, you know, this is awesome. Maybe we're actually going to be a family for once. I'd never had that. So it was great for like 3 or 4 days. And then, you know, he started being around less and less. He started being drunk more and more, yelling at me and my mom more and more. It was not a pleasant time. So, I mean, like I said, 2 weeks went by. We were gone. We were out of there. I didn't see him again for years. I was about 22 years old. My grandmother on his side dies. At this point, I'm married. I've got 2 kids, right, and babies. And anyway, I still hadn't seen him. I'm starting to going to drive up there for the funeral, and then I hear, you know what, Jimmy, my dad, he needs a ride. So I said, yeah, he can ride with me. So me, him, and one of my cousins, we're going to ride up together. We drive up there. I don't see him just a whole lot, but I see him, you know, spend a little bit of time together, good things. So then we come back, we drive back down together, still good times so far. You know, we come out to my house, outside my house, and then I'm dropping him off to another car, and I introduce him to his grandkids. And I tell him, you know, come around, we'll hang out, you know, go spend time with your grandkids, it'll be good, right? So he says, okay, yeah, okay, give him my numbers. I don't see him again for a couple of years. So a couple of years later, I'm about 24, and I get a phone call, or my mom gets a phone call from one of my aunts. She says, Jimmy's got cancer. Got cancer in his throat. Okay. He's at the hospital here, right down the street from my house, and maybe 10 blocks from my house. And I'm in kind of a tough spot here because I'm thinking, you know, I'm really ticked off with the guy because, well, he's been an ass like my entire life. He's been nothing but an ass. But he's my dad. I mean, he's blood. So, and I've always been very big on family. I've always really believed in family. I believe family's important. So I decided I'm going to go to the hospital. So I went to the hospital, and for almost 3 weeks, I was in that hospital. Most every night, I slept in that hospital, inside that big, uncomfortable, like foam green, vinyl, sticky recliner thing that they had for guests to sleep in. I slept in. And, you know, I helped him to the bathroom. I held him up sometimes when he had to puke. I mean, I helped kept him clean. I read to the guy. I was there for him. I did what I thought a good son would do. I mean, having a son myself, I did what I hoped my son would do for me. So he gets out of the hospital. He gets the surgery he needs. A couple weeks later, he gets out of the hospital. He's staying with one of my aunts here in Greenville, where I am. I go see him almost every day. So one day I give my aunt a call and say, hey, is Dad feeling up to a visit? And she says, honey, your dad's gone. And I said, what? She said, he's gone. I said, okay, wait, I don't understand. What do you mean he's gone? And she tells me he went back to New York to be with his ex-wife's kids. Now, you have to understand the particulars of that, because his ex-wife kids are my age and older, all right? They're not his kids. When he married his ex-wife, they were already older kids. But he went up there to be with them who did not visit once while he was down here in the hospital. We thought gonna die. He didn't call me. He didn't come see me. He didn't tell me he was leaving. Just nothing. He just gone. Yeah. So that's the story, and I think you can understand why I'm probably sick and tired of telling it. I don't like telling it. I don't enjoy telling it, so I don't plan on ever having to tell it again. Now I have this. I have this. Somebody asks you, says, you know what, it's not great. You want to know more? Go here. Thanks for listening, YouTube.